Welcome to Season 2 of Producer Points. My name is Justin Gamella, and I'll be your host. I'm a producer and songwriter who's had the honor of working with some of the best in the industry. This season, we're diving even deeper into one-on-one conversations with producers, mixers, songwriters, and artists, exploring their unique journeys, creative process, and insights that shape great music. Join me for real talks, straight from the studio, where music and life intersect. This is Producer Points. Welcome to another Producer Points Roundtable. Today, we're going to be talking about vocal tuning secrets that actually work. Tuning vocals has become a non-negotiable part of modern music, but doing it well is still a mystery to so many producers. Where do you even begin? What's the best algorithm? How do you make sure a vocal still feels emotional, expressive, even human after it's been tuned? It's one of the most delicate balancing acts in production. A well-tuned vocal disappears into the performance. A poorly tuned one pulls you right out of it. Whether you're working with raw pitch, heavy vibrato, or a singer glued to one note, how you approach tuning can make or break the track. Today, we're breaking down the techniques, tools, and philosophies that actually work, so you can stop second-guessing your comps and start getting vocals to sit exactly where they should. Let's get into it. Our first guest is a Grammy-nominated mixer, engineer, and producer who's worked with Khalid, Normani, and Justin Bieber, known for bringing top-tier polish and vibe to every session. Denis Kosiak. Dude, thanks for being here.
Hello. Happy to be here. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you. Our next guest is another Grammy-nominated producer, songwriter, and mixer with a wide-ranging career spanning major label cuts and indie gems. He's one of my closest friends. I found out right now he's even wearing a shirt that he made at my daughter's birthday party. One of my best buddies, Scott Robinson.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah,
After last time, I'm a little surprised, but I appreciate it.
You'll always be welcome back, man. You just make me smile. And our last guest is another Grammy-nominated powerhouse vocal producer and editor behind major films like Tick, Tick, Boom, Dear Evan Hansen, and speaking of my daughter, her current favorite movie, Vivo. She's known for making vocals shine across pop records and blockbuster musicals alike. Brie Holland, thanks for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You know, it's funny. That's why I thought to reach out to you because my daughter's been obsessed with Vivo all week.
So
And
nice.
and I was like, oh yeah, she does this stuff and she knows her vocals. And so I thought to hit you up last minute to get you on here. So thank you so much for coming on the pod to do this.
Of course. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So like I said, Today's episode is about vocal tuning, and I think this is honestly the number one thing that up-and-coming producers have so many questions about. It's such a mystery to them. I have theories on why. My theory is that so many producers come from a beat-making world, and they get really good at making beats and instrumentals, and they don't have the opportunity to work with singers so often. And as we're all going to probably say a million times today, the only way to get good at tuning vocals is just reps and practice and just doing it over and over and over again and doing it with different voices, not just your own. And that's how you learn to get good at it. So I'm going to start this podcast off with a very obvious question, but I think it's important. And why tuning? Why do we do it in modern pop productions? Brie, you're the rookie, so I'm going to start with you. Why does tuning matter?
So tuning can make or break the expression in a vocalist's performance. I find that depending on how you use your tuning tools, it can either refine a performance so that you're not distracted by the pieces that were not intended to be expressed by the performer. And it can also do the opposite. By using tuning, you can sometimes cover up the expression that the performer intended to, just the humanity and the pieces, the imperfect pieces that the performer intended to express. So it's a double-edged sword. In general, the final polish on the vocal can just put people in sort of a safe headspace psychologically so that they can actually focus on the lyrics and the melody and everything else that the performer intended.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is 100% right. And I'm so glad I have you on for this episode because, and I'm sorry if you know any of them, so you don't have to say anything, but so many people who do what you do with a lot of these movie musicals are so bad at their jobs. Everyone knows about like the big Ariana Grande one from Wicked that like everyone was making fun of. And I've just heard some really horrible ones, and you don't do that. All the ones you've done sound great.
Why, thank you.
And maybe it's because I'm a, producer and a vocal producer and I pay attention to those things, but I cannot enjoy a movie musical when like the vocal is so overtuned and so overdone. And when it's like, I texted my manager the other day. I forgot what I was listening to. I was like, find out who did that and like get me that job. I want that job just for the sake of like being able to enjoy it, because I love musicals and I just want to watch it.
Totally. I come from a theater background myself,
Yeah.
And a very narrative driven kind of musical background. And so, yeah, if you notice the tuning in a musical theater piece, especially, it's too much.
Yeah, it's like it takes me out of it. Scott, man, what about you? Why are we still tuning vocals in pop music today?
Don't tune any of my artists.
Great. We'll see you next week.
I don't believe in it. The artists don't believe. I mean, I think like Bree said, it's, both to enhance the things that might be there and at the same time get out of the way of the things that are there. I would emphasize the second thing for sure. I feel like doing the first thing is pretty fundamental. And, I think there's obviously the school of thought that's just like throw autotune on there. And I honestly think it works like 80% of the time for 80% of the song. But then I think it's the other 20 or the 10% of the magic that you're losing from doing that.
And what's funny is that like, even though, it's like 10, 20%, it feels so much bigger because you notice those moments when like the autotune isn't doing the thing. And it's just going to like distract you. And it's like, if I hear like one bad tuning in a song, I'm immediately like, well, that person did not do a good job.
Those also tend to be the most important moments in the vocal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dennis, what about you? What's your take on vocal tuning in 2025?
I'm still in the same lane as you. As soon as I hear something that's like wrong, I'm like, wait, this is on the radio? Like I thought like this was really important and like people are supposed to be paid to like do this. So I get taken out of it too. I think it's come a long way probably from where it was like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was like extremely labor intensive to tune on Melodyne. And then even 10 years before that, it was like crazier. Like every couple of years you go back, it gets crazier. Right now, I think it's like easier than it's ever been, but it's easier to get it to like 75%. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like we were talking, like that last little bit or like even just adding like 10% more effort can net you like major results. Like sometimes there's even things in tuning where it's like, you'll tune and you'll be able to understand the lyric better because it's like clearer because it's actually on pitch and it's not getting like morphed by auto-tune in a weird way. So just by like taking the time to clean it up, you're just netting better results anyway. So
yeah, I love that. I wanted to get the podcast started, just be like, okay, why are we tuning? Because there's some like people who are like, I don't want to tune a vocal. Like I want that real thing. And there is still reason to do it. Right.
Great.
There's still that. Right. And like, and we're going to get to that topic eventually. Like I do want to not tune vocals a lot of the time, but it is definitely
it's the dream.
But it's like, it's the dream,
yeah,
but it's like singer
source, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Singer dependent, genre dependent. Right.
Well, and I would say that's the thing too, that's changed in the past few decades is that now when you see a live performance, people are also tuned. And so when you're listening to the record over and over again a million times, you want it to sound as polished as live. And it's got kind of unavoidable in that way.
If I'm jumping in too deep here too fast, but I recently tuned for the live stage performance of like a TV musical. I don't know exactly what it was, but basically they had the actors re-sing all of the parts for stage, but the actors are not good. And so they really like to go back to how some of the musical stuff is tuned way too hard. It's just like you had to. There was just no other choice.
No, I know that, but there's like I was watching one. I don't care. It was like Frozen. It was the Frozen musical.
Yeah.
And like these people can sing, and
dude, totally.
And to me, I'm like listening to this, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like I know the ones where it's like this actor has no business singing, and because it's 2025 and we can make anyone technically sing, you overtune it, and I can forgive that. But it's when it's like a good singer or like Ariana Grande, where it's like, what are we doing?
Okay, are we ready
like,
to get philosophical?
Go.
We as a group have conditioned the audience for that.
Yeah.
So true.
They want to hear Ariana like that.
Well, it's not even tune. It's like it's when they make mistakes. There was that one where you're gonna be popular, you're gonna be popular, and like it's this weird cut, and something weird happens in it. It was
so
like
funny.
all over.
I never even noticed that.
Oh, it was all over TikTok.
There you
Like
go.
it was like people were making fun of it. It was like it's not that I found it.
See,
It
that's
was
so
like,
funny because my ear is so closely attuned for that, and I've seen that
Yeah.
movie like 7 times, and I never even I was in the narrative too much.
I just ruined that part for you. I'm so sorry. You're not gonna be able to notice. But what I was gonna say is that like how I kind of explain it to people outside the music world is like they're like, why does everyone have like no one can sing anymore? Everyone's tuning their vocal, and it's like, listen, it's not that no one can sing anymore. Most singers that not all, but most singers that are like making huge records are usually very good singers. They don't need tune, but it's like I compare it to like TV back in the day, right? Where everything was in SD, things were kind of blurry. You can get away with a little bit more, but now everything's in like 4K. And if you were to shoot a TV, unless you're doing it for like an artistic choice today and like SD, everyone would be like, what are you doing? Like, this is weird. This doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel modern. It's the same thing with like tuning a vocal where it's like, if it's not tuned nowadays, we're going to think it came out like, 20, 30 years ago, and it's going to place it in a time, and it's not going to make it sound modern. So that's kind of like how I explain it to people outside of the industry. And once they kind of explain it like that, they're like, oh, okay. Like, I see where you're coming from. And it's like, yeah, I guess, whatever. Okay. So I want to go on to our next.
I think
Go ahead,
also
sir.
we should consider like the time component of this and the resource component of this, where
Yeah.
like the artist is writing the song that day, cutting it in an hour, and then has to go. You know what
Well,
I mean?
right.
And so
But
if we're
Yeah,
go
that's the thing too, because we have technology, we move faster, right? And it's just like kind of because you can, can I make you sound good in 5 takes? Like technically, yes.
Well,
and because
and
you can.
we have such a labor division now too. The projects that I'm tuning are not necessarily the ones that I recorded in the studio, and so there are fewer options sometimes.
I kind of like that. Where like I'm kind of liking that. Like I mean, for me, because I like getting jobs and making money. But I kind of like that. Like now, there's like producers being like, you know what? There's a better vocal producer. It's like kind of taking it from film, right? Film is everything is so separated. They have a cinematographer. They have a the guy actually holding the camera. They have the director. It's like every job is so separate. And not that I want music to be that separate, but at least for like the top projects that have the money, it's like, yeah, like get the best of the best for like every project and like split it up.
you want to get a boom operator. I just want somebody to just hold the mic.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay, so I want to start kind of on all of our processes here. Where do you start when we're recording vocals? I don't know, and just to kind of set the stage. When I'm recording the vocal, I'm literally thinking about tuning at that point, right? Where it's in the notes I give the singer. For example, I'll tell them sometimes like, I don't care if you pitch it right now. I just want you to punch it. I just want that emotion. I just want you to get it. And then like if it's a little flat, I can get to it. Scott, man, I'll start with you. Like, when do you start thinking about tuning vocals? In what part of the process?
Yeah, I think I misunderstood what you were saying at first, because you said you were thinking about the tuning. I'm, of course, not thinking about the tuning at all, which is, I think, the same thing you're saying. It's like, in the moment while we're cutting, I don't give a fuck. Can I say fuck?
Yes.
I don't give a fuck. It's like you said, it's about the performance, it's about the energy, it's about the emotion. I'm going to comp it. I'm going to touch it up where it needs to get touched up. I don't even want you to think about it. If there's a thing that I can do to make you forget about the pitch, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dennis, what about you, man? When do you start thinking about the process of tuning, and what stage for you?
Tuning's like definitely towards the end. I feel like I get at least when I'm recording, I'm always like, how you guys are saying, like, it's source thing. So you're like, whatever you're going to do, like in terms of emotional conveyance, like you got to do that now. Like if you're going to scream it or whatever, like do it now. And then tuning it is like the note shit. Like you can make it so long, you can make it shorter, you can make it louder, you can do all these things, like make it tighter, but you can't obviously capture them, like the performance in the thing. So it's like, got to do that. But then I feel like in the process, I get so fine toothed with like editing and all my like vocal comp stuff. I feel like it's like basically the last thing before I send out the bounce. Like I just put it off as long as possible, personally.
So are you thinking about pitch as you're comping? Like if you hear something that's out, will you comp around it?
No, definitely not. It's like a delivery type of thing. Or like if their like tone doesn't like flow in the comp, then you're just like, dude, what? Like I can't use that. So there's so much like, I feel like it's like recordings like 40%, the editing's like 40%, and then the tuning is maybe like 15%, and then you're like like I don't know, mixing the vocal for loud. That's like I guess how I'd be like approaching a thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, in the more of the pop world too, and I want to get to Brie and ask about like kind of more thing because I love that it's a different topic and it's what you specialize in. But it's like with me, it's like when I have singers here, especially singers who haven't been doing this quite as long, they're so worried about whether they're trying to impress me or the other people in the room. They're so worried about like singing on pitch and like doing it. And I'm like, that is not your job today. Like, I want you to sing on pitch as best you can. Yes, obviously. But like, I need you to sell this song. And I'd rather you like focus. Let me rephrase that. What a lot of people don't realize is that pitch is the easiest thing to fix. I can't fix your I can fix your pocket, but it's a lot more noticeable if I fix your pocket or if I fix other things. I need all of that to be as good as it can be, and you focus on that, and then it's my job to make you sound in tune. And then once I kind of tell people that, sometimes I'll throw tune on them while they sing. Sometimes I won't. Kind of depends on the, singer. I just want them to get as comfortable as possible and like not feel like they have to get it perfect every time. I just want them to feel like literally. I just want them to feel what the song's about. Brie, I'm curious with you. Like, I've worked with some, musical theater type people, and they're really obsessive with like singing it on pitch. Like, what's kind of your approach in the room there with them to like, what are you telling them to do with like pitch and performance and stuff?
Yeah, my whole career I've worked with singers almost primarily. I started in a cappella spaces in theater and have done pop, independent, and label artists, and across the board, everybody wants to get the pitch right, which I understand. And I would agree with you guys for the most part. I'm encouraging singers to focus on their expression, their timbre, their tone. But I would say in playback, as I'm doing a rough comp through our session, I am usually also melodyning in Pro Tools as I comp, so that by the end of the session, when we listen back, they feel super hyped and excited about what we've captured.
Wait, so what do you mean? Like you're comping through melody? What do you mean by that?
So as I'm recording with the singer, I'll also be doing a rough comp, and then I'll tune that rough comp as we go.
Oh, okay.
So that as they listen back to the last section that they recorded, or as we listen to the song at the end of the session, they don't have to do the work that I'm naturally doing of listening through the tuning to hear what we actually captured. They can actually hear closer to what the final product will be. And then, of course, after the session, I'll go back through, I'll recomp a lot of things. I'll retune things to get it more polished and what it really needs to be for the deliverable. But yeah, I do like I don't like to record people through auto-tune because I do want them to hear the raw that they're actually tracking. But when they hear the playback, I do want them to hear something more polished. So I'm kind of doing it as we go.
Yeah, it's like the auto-tune while they're performing is so like I kind of like as I'm working with the singer, I'm seeing like what they need. And sometimes it's like, in pop music, it's very different than musical theater, right? Like pop people, it's like sometimes they are a little pitchy, but that's kind of what makes their voice cool. And they're so like, I work with some singers, they're so focused on like, man, I keep being flat on that note that like they lose their confidence. And then it's like, okay, let me just click this auto-tune on and like make you feel a little bit better and like a little bit more fuck yeah when you're singing this.
Look how great you sound.
Right, exactly.
You're amazing.
But I've never done, which is like so stupid because now with Pro Tools having ARA, like just quickly putting it in and just being like, okay, cool, I'll just like Melodyne it really quick so they can hear it. Because for me, it's just like I just throw auto-tune on it like a little bit stronger than I normally would. But that like won't catch, like a bad note, obviously.
Yeah, if someone really nails a take, but it's something that needs to be touched in Melodyne, then I'll just touch it up as we go.
Yeah, no, that's really smart. I don't know why I've literally have never thought to do that. I will do that with harmonies when I'm building harmonies with them, but never the other way. Speaking of Melodyne and autotune, or whatever hand tuning software one uses, what are you guys doing? Are you doing autotune then Melodyne, or hand tuning, or Melodyne and then autotune? Dennis, I'll start with you now.
I feel like Brie and I are going to be on the same page here. I feel like if you're like, because I also do like a little bit of the like tuning as you go type thing just to like keep people appeased. So, but it's really awesome when you know how to do that and you have auto tune going at the same time. So if there's just one little thing that's not in the comp, you just like grab it real quick and it's like, okay, cool, seamless. But I'm a hardcore believer in standalone Melodyne. So like if it's just like something casual, or it's like it doesn't really need it that bad, or if it's not really calling for any sort of preciseness, then it's just Melodyne into autotune. I'm very specific about the type of autotune as well.
Yeah.
But then
Wait,
Melodyne standalone.
can you go into that? Now I'm curious. Or is that a secret for Dennis?
No, it's Autotune EFX Plus. It's like
Yeah.
there's all sort. I mean, everybody knows how messed up Autotune is as like a, not saying that they're like the worst company, but it's like they've just done the most. I don't even know how to say it other than that.
They're
They've just
right
made
there
it.
behind Avid as like just
Indeed.
like
They do the most. Well, I feel
Yeah.
like Avid's even better these days, but like, you go to a different studio, their tune, like, why is there 18 different versions of Autotune that all sound different and have different parameters, and there's all sorts of shit, and the licensing and everything? It's nuts. So it's the Autotune that I like specifically, Autotune EFX Plus. It's, for whatever reason, in my opinion, it's like the least artifacty, like slidey, formenty one. I feel like it does nothing with formatting, and it's just doing like what old Autotune like 5 did. But it's the one tune that works on all the new computers, and it's like really easy to use. It's like 2 buttons, run that thing, and
I think
it
that's
never
what
messes up.
I think that's what the classic button does. I think that takes the formant shifting off.
I hope so, because that's so nuts. It messes
Yeah.
with everything so bad.
That's what I'm curious. I'd be curious to like do a test between like Autotune Pro with like the classic mode turned on and then Autotune EFX Plus.
And I also fight latency a lot when you get like with the other auto tunes, and then you start like, if you go to different studios, or if you're like doing a bunch of different tracks and then you start getting into mix world, then it like the latency gets like out of control, and you're like, what is it's auto tune. Like you're always going to fight an uphill battle. So I'm always very like, just choose the minimal like thing for that, and then tuning into that, which is like a cool thing that people are always like, wait, I feel like you have to do like a one or the other. Why do I have to like, I feel like I have to like choose one thing and like learn that and just commit to that and understand it fully. But you can never really get everything with doing that. So it's like, yeah, have a method for being quick and easy, like controllability. So I don't know how people do like graphic mode and auto tune or anything like that, but like,
it sounds so good, but it's such a pain in the ass.
yeah, that's exactly. So then if I'm doing the ultra precise stuff, like export into Melodyne standalone, I mean, all the ARA data stuff is good, but the tools in the actual like Melodyne standalone are just so like, they function just so much better in the standalone, with the amount of control that you get, being able to use like quick keys. So you actually have speed moving through there and all that stuff. Like, it's so much better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've literally like I was a Wavestone guy for a while, and I never used Melodyne standalone, and I've only been using Melodyne like in Pro Tools, pretty much my whole life. Maybe I should try that out, see how it sounds and what like the difference is. Bree, what about you? What's your method?
Pretty aligned with Dennis. I would say the Melodyne in Pro Tools is still kind of glitchy. I still get some artifacts when I commit it, even with the most recent update, which is a lot better. But
it's better. I know what you mean. There's like all the like with the cuts and the pitch slides and all that stuff. It's all crazy.
I found, for you guys and our listeners, I have to consolidate the whole clip. And once it's consolidated, Melodyne behaves way better.
I believe that.
That's what I've done. So basically, like, I'll put like the non-consolidated one in a playlist, and then have the one on top that's consolidated that Melodyne can get. And once I started doing that, it was like, oh, okay, that's fixed a lot of the problems. There's still some things, but like that was a big one. But sorry, Brie, go ahead.
that's okay. Yeah, no, I know folks who have like lost all their ARA data though, and it's not great. But that being said, I love Melodyne. I'm a Melodyne loyalist. I started on Melodyne 3 and jumped to 5.
Melodyne 3, let's go.
Can we bring it back? Can we
That was
bring
the
it back?
goated algorithm.
The gold standard, Melodyne 3.
Absolute.
I truly miss it. But I use the standalone a lot too, especially if I'm doing a stack of vocals. I've got to do the standalone to get through it, with the shortcuts and everything. And I agree. I think maybe this is just the psychological, but I think it does sound better coming from the standalone as well, or at least is missing all the artifacts. And then it depends on the genre, I guess, that I'm in, the artist that I'm working with, I might put it through some light auto tune as well, for like a sparkle at the end. But I'm almost exclusively in Melodyne.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, for listeners and younger producers, there are some artists that they're like, I want autotune on it. There are even some artists that it's like, I want autotune and these are my settings that I want you to use. And like as producers and vocal producers, that's something we like have to respect and be like, cool, that's what you want. Like, great, no problem. I just have to turn it on and I'll Melodyne into it usually. Scott, what about you? What's your process?
I'm a Melodyne boy. Melodyne. Yeah. I put Melodyne in and I Melodyne. So I'm in ARA also, and I'm still using the same shortcuts that I always use, which I know are not the default ones. I use like QWERTY basically for the tools. Mm-hmm. And those work great. And I have definitely noticed the like glitchiness in commits and figured out some things that absolve some of that. Especially with like the tempo changes. Like I think everybody's had that problem where you have to switch it to samples or
you can't, for listeners too, like who have that problem in Pro Tools, at least you have to keep it in samples, not ticks, or else like Melodyne, if there's a tempo change, it's like, whoa, what's this? Which is super stupid and annoying. But
I guess like I do want to talk about Melodyne 3 only because
talk about Melodyne 3.
Well, it sounds the best. It just sounds the best. There's nothing else to say. You can't run
the tuning algorithm in Melodyne 3, for whatever reason, it's cleaner, and it was like when you learned
cleaner.
it, dude,
it doesn't have a sound.
It was just on.
I still have it on my 2015 laptop, and every once
I
in a
also
while,
kept a laptop. I also kept a laptop just for Melodyne 3. I've never used it. But what I was going to say was like when I switched to 4 and noticed the difference between 3 and 4, and then went from 4 standalone to 4 ARA, I didn't really notice a difference aside from some of the like obvious problems. But like in terms of sound quality, I didn't notice a difference. So I'm super curious now to go try it in standalone, see if it sounds like less Melodyne-y.
I know. Yeah, just speaking of like 3 and 4 and stuff and Autotune 5, I just like, we can shit on Waves all we want, but I will say that their plugins, even if they're 20 years old, they still fucking work. And I hate that like Autotune and all these other companies were like, well, we made a new version and we're not supporting this version anymore. And it's like, maybe you should. Like
they have to sell products,
Right, I understand. Right, but they can like. I still feel like people might still buy the new ones just because like we're all idiots and we want to buy things for some reason. But like at the same time, it's like you should still support this. Like I don't know. It's a thing that I get.
I would say if Melodyne 3 still worked with my iOS now, I would probably use it.
Right.
So.
And like make it like
if Melodyne 3 still worked and it had the thing where you could like view the vocal stacks so that you could like align pitch with vocal stacks, I would take the Melodyne 3 tuning algorithm any day.
So you like do the thing where you stack them on top of each other, like doubles like this?
Oh, for sure. That's how you get them like.
That's it. See, that way messes me up. I actually can get the timing way better if I see them like literally on top of each other.
Me too. I don't like how it splits it out and
same.
Kind of assigns it to notes. Yeah, it doesn't work for me visually.
I also don't time in Melodyne. That's the thing too, personally.
You don't time in Melodyne?
No.
Dude.
That's interesting.
Dude.
I do
Justin's
as much
learning here today. He's like, oh,
no,
I don't.
Dang. I don't prefer it. I prefer like doing as much in audio as I can, and then and
the
then
main thing that I do timing wise in Melodyne is if I have to stretch stuff or squeeze stuff, like if I'm trying to get something to be more percussive, rhythmic, like I know I can do that in Melodyne like way better than I can do it with just like messing with the waveform or polyphonic or something.
Yeah.
Or like stretching, like if I have doubles where like the doubles aren't long enough and I'm like, okay, I need to stretch these doubles way out.
Or if you want to adjust vibrato, speed of vibrato, things like that.
Yeah. To me, it's like I'm vocal line all the way just because it's like I'm doing so many projects. I'll go in and like I'll really either, use Elastic Pro or Polyphonic or Melodyne when I'm like, okay, I really care about this project. I'm going to go in and like do the thing. But as like a pop producer where it's like I'm doing so many sessions and I want it to sound tight, it's like vocal line is still the way to go. I wanted to ask you guys because not many people use it and I would actually love to. Have any of you guys ever tuned a vocal in Cubase?
No, I have heard myths of this being a great tuning algorithm. I've heard of this.
It's the best one.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I've heard whispers.
Yeah, I used it. This was back in the day with like my old band. The guy who mixed our stuff, he would use Cubase, and I would like go there with him to tune the vocal, and he would like tune in a Cubase. And I don't know if you guys know Lindgren. He's a producer. He uses Cubase. I just anyone who uses Cubase and I hear their tuned vocals, I'm just like, every single time I'm like, man, whatever algorithm that Cubase or Steinberg has made, I wish I could just like get it into Pro Tools or just like they made
Harness their energy.
Yeah, dude, it's just like, I don't know what it is. There's like hardly any artifacts. It just sounds really natural.
They probably just bought the Melodyne 3 algorithm.
No, it's their own thing. It's their own thing. I'm telling you, dude, it's like, it's different. And then on top of that, you can do, what's cool about Cubase is that like you can do the Melodyne like standalone thing. Like you can see all the stacks and line them up within Cubase.
That's cool.
And yeah, so like I see like Lindgren, like he does a lot of K-pop stuff, which just has like God knows how many vocal stacks. And he's like, oh yeah, I can just like do it all in like 3 seconds. And it's like, yeah, that seems pretty nice. Like I'm just so stuck in the Pro Tools architecture, unfortunately. Okay, I want to go on to the next little topic here. Artifacts. When we have them, how are we fixing them? What are our go-to tool to fix tuning artifacts, or even just like you get a vocal from someone else and they didn't make the right kind of fade or whatever? What are the tools that we're using, or the techniques that we're using to fix some of these like known artifacts that these tuning algorithms make? Brie, I'll start with you.
Is that assuming that we can't recomp?
No, I mean, whatever. If you can, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I would just drag it back in and I mean, I've dragged in just transients before, or a breath here and there if a breath gets kind of messed up with Melodyne. I would drag in the raw when I can and fix it, just do it right.
Yeah,
but otherwise, I don't know. I've used Isotope to get like a pop or a click out here and there. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, RX is one of the best tools, if not the best tool ever made.
The only better tool is the pencil tool in Pro Tools.
Yeah. It is pretty good. Scott, what about you? What you know, how are you fixing some of the kind of these like tuning artifacts? You know, the classic like Melodyne, like make something sounds phasey or whatever.
I don't make them.
You know, that's fair.
I mean, something that I would go back to in terms of like process and like what Brie was saying about recomping stuff, like I'm actually a big fan of going back to my untuned comp and then comping that against my tuned comp, because I'll go back and find things where it's like, well, this did sound out of tune. I did see it in Melodyne and I did tune it and now it's right. But for whatever reason, it's worse. And I think to give that last check of like, is this actually better, is really important.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know if that answered your question at all.
No, it does. I'm like, I know what I'm saying, and I'm kind of like seeing what you guys are saying, so I'm curious. Dennis, what about you?
The question sucks, man. Don't make artifacts.
I know, but like sometimes artifacts happen, you know? Especially, and like, if we could talk about too, like when you get it in a vocal that you didn't record and it's already comped and you're just tuning it, like, you know, kind of what. And
charge extra.
Right, charge extra. Dennis, what about you? What's kind of like your go-to kind of fixes for those things?
No, same thing. I mean, I feel like if it's like it's baked in there, like the only way that you can really fix it is going back or like recomping something that's not tuned into it. Of course, just as a case in point, like last week got a song to mix and the artist was like, dude, can you like please help the vocal? And it's like so tuned and it's like essentially like not the vibe of the song. And I'm like, okay, tell him to send the raw vocal, like literally what he recorded or like the comp that has no tuning, like tell him to go find it, tell him to send it and we'll do it right. And we did it right. And it was like, oh dude, this like sounds done now. This isn't like all messed up. So
as a mixer, I've had to retune plenty of vocals where you get it from the producer and the artist is like, this is crazy. Like, what are they doing? And like, I couldn't get them to fix it. And I was like, hey, no problem, dude.
Right. Yeah. I think too, it's like something that I tell a lot of producers to do. I know it's harder not in Pro Tools because Pro Tools has one of the best features that like I can duplicate a track and like make it inactive and like just hide it, but still have it be there. Is that I always tell people it's like keep a running tab of like your dry vocal, your tune vocal, your auto tune vocal, just so you can kind of like always go back. And how I fix, you know, these weird glitches that Melodyne and auto tune and whatever else makes is my process. I'll have that comp vocal and I'll have that raw audio and then I'll Melodyne it and then I'll have that raw audio and then Melodyne into auto tune when I do use auto tune. And then basically I'll like commit all those down. So I'll have untuned, Melodyned, and then Melodyne and autotune. And then sometimes I have only autotune, just like kind of as an option if like Melodyne is like doing something weird. It's like not fucking with whatever, you know, consonant or weird thing that a vocals do. Sometimes when people get grit, listener, like for you guys, like Melodyne is like, whoa, what is this? And Autotune is like actually better at handling that. I'll sometimes, when I go really, really crazy, I'll also like tune it in Waves Tune just to have like a third option. Just to like do, this is when I'm trying really to impress someone. But and then in Pro Tools I can put those all in a playlist, and kind of like what Scott was saying is I'll go through and kind of like check my work and be like, okay, like on this word, like Melodyne's not doing it. Maybe I'll just go to the raw one, or Waves Tune is the one I'll grab, or Melodyne like made an artifact on this word and I can grab it from the raw vocal, like Brie was saying, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I try not to go back to like recomp as much as I can. Usually there's not many, if any, artifacts, if you've done your job correctly, in that raw vocal, and so you can kind of fix it and then listen to This Is More For You. If you like not only drag it up, sometimes when you're tuning it, it'll like move it a little bit. You have to line up the waveform. And once the waveform is lined up and you make the fades correctly, you won't hear any pops and stuff. So it's a little bit of advice for our younger producers here.
Find your zero crossings.
Zero crossings, exactly.
Nobody knows how to engineer anymore. They're not listening. They don't know what that is.
They just hit record and they're like, well, I guess it's good. You did it on my SM7.
You told him to get an SM7.
Oh, God. Okay.
Well, that kind of reminded me too. Okay.
Sorry, guys. I have to jump. Thank you so much for having me. It was very nice
all
chatting
good.
with all of you.
Yeah, this one isn't going to be as long as the other ones. We're not hitting too many points. But, dude, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
I'm such a fan of your vocal tuning.
You're going to miss my surprise topic, man.
Well, by any means, like I said, if you need me to do some punch-ins, I'm available for that. So please let me know. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Okay.
Thank you, me, man.
See you guys. Okay.
Bye.
Brie, what were you going to say before Dennis hopped in there?
Oh, that just reminded me, just when you were talking about grit on voices too. That's one moment when we're in the recording session where I actually will bring pitch to a vocalist's attention. Mm-hmm. If they have a voice with a lot of rasp or a lot of grit and they're going for something that they're not quite getting, but they're really expressive on it, that, depending on what it sounds like and knowing how that will probably interface with a program like Melodyne, might be a moment where I'll ask them to actually focus on the pitch.
Yeah. You know what's funny too? That reminds me of something I meant to bring up, but I totally forgot, is that another technique I'll use, and it's really, really good for things like that, is Pro Tools or Ableton, like whatever mode, Polyphonic, Elastic Pro, whatever, is that bringing up things a couple cents sometimes, either into Autotune or by themselves, to avoid that, especially with like a gritty, yelly vocal, can do wonders, and you don't notice it as much as you think you will.
Yeah.
You might notice it if you like A-B it, sure, but in the context of the song, like you'd be surprised. My favorite like little like fun fact version of that is you guys know, oh, I'm sure you do, like Bon Jovi's like Living on a Prayer.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Big song, came out in the 80s. If you hadn't heard it.
I definitely have never covered that song with my band for 10 years.
But there's the part at the end of the song where it's like that really high note, oh, we're halfway there, when they change the key.
Key change.
Right, key change, last chord, and it's that, oh, at the very, very end. Bon Jovi did not hit that note. It was too high, and basically what they did is they slowed down the tape a little bit, and he sang it a little bit lower, than they sped it up, and you don't notice it in the context of the song, but if you ever have a chance to listen to it, the acapella, it's a little bit noticeable. Point being,
great lore,
right?
Point
no,
being,
it is.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But because they're going for that performance, and they're like, what, he's gonna hit that falsetto? That's gonna ruin the fucking song. Like, no way. You want to try and get it like there's different rules for a recording than like a live performance. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you want some more lore, they did that for a whole Boys Like Girls album.
Sure, great. That makes sense. But that's the way. But that's sometimes the way where it's like, I'd rather, and I've done it before too, where it's like, you can't hit that. Like Verispeed is a really good technique to do that. And like, you'd be surprised. Like, yeah, sometimes they just got to bring it down a little bit and you want them to hit the grit and that speed up. It's like not super noticeable. It's really, or sometimes you just like bring it a half a step lower. You keep it at the same speed, and melodyning it up that little bit, like, is not super noticeable.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
You ever just record half speed in Pro Tools and just have them singing an octave down?
Dude, honestly, so we're going off topic. I did not make up this technique. I forget who. I saw it years ago. But it wasn't you, Scott, fuck you. There's
Guitar
a really fun
solos.
technique for ad libs where I'll put the whole track in Vero speed and I'll speed it down, slow it down like 75%, 25%, whatever, and have the singer do ad libs. And just because the track is slower or faster, they'll do things that they wouldn't have done before.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, dude, I do it every once in a while. If like someone's like a really good singer, I'm like, ooh, you're gonna have fun.
This is really advanced tips and tricks.
Yeah, this is what the podcast is. But you'd be, and like, dude, I've gotten such amazing results from that. Where they just, and it's like do the thing where when you sing it slower, but then you speed it up, it does a really cool like, run, and you're like, whoa, you could have literally never sang that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a little fun trick for our listeners here.
That's cool.
Can I pull us back to fundamentals for a second?
Please do, Scott.
I feel like there's an elephant in the room. That elephant is timing. And like,
Yes.
if I got to pick one or the other, I'll take timing over tuning all day long.
I said it in the beginning.
I can live with some shit out of pitch, but like in terms of talking about like how people receive the record as a whole, what people can feel and perceive, like timing.
Yeah.
They can feel it.
I mean,
And
even if the tuning is perfect in a piece, if the timing is off, people will think the tuning
garbage. It's garbage.
Yeah.
Yep. Pocket is the most important thing for listeners who might not know. Pocket is not, it's not only timing, but it's like how I'm choosing to sing a certain thing, right? So just for example here for listeners, it's like I can sing, right? Oh God, I don't want to sing right now. But like, no, but like I could sing like happy birthday, right? Just in case of copyright things here, right? Like,
happy birthday. That one.
Right. Okay, great. Happy birthday. I can sing it happy birthday, or I can say it happy birthday. I can make things longer. I can make things shorter. That's the really artistic part of vocal production. I give a lot of notes that way where I'm like, ooh, make those first two notes long, then shorten it on that one thing and then bring it back. That's all part of pocket and timing and being open as a artist for anyone who's an artist who's listening or vocal producers or producers, like you have to be open to like trying different pockets out and like in those first couple takes be like, oh, what if you make that like end note short, or what if you make it longer, or you'll everyone in the room will know pretty quickly if it's the right or wrong move. But yeah, no, Scott, totally right. Like I care so much more about everything but the pitch, and the most important thing to me is like emotion and pocket.
Well,
like,
to go back to like why I really like Melodyne for timing stuff, it is like that thing you're talking about. It's like, where does this like O sound turn into the N sound in the word on?
Right.
Like I can now control that. You can't really do that with like Elastic or Auto-Tune.
Yeah, breaking up the attack and release of each.
Yeah.
What the people are singing. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, I just I just get my singers to sing it right. That's I'm good at my job, Scott.
You are good at your job.
Thank you. Hey gang, I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the best way you can help this podcast grow is to rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. It tells the algorithm to push our show to other listeners so we can grow, and it's one of, if not the best way to help support this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second to rate this podcast. Sharing it with your friends would be amazing too. All right, back to the pod. I want to talk about a fun topic, and I have my hot take on this, but I wanted to get your guys' 2 cents on this. One of the things I hate so fucking much right now...
Silly vocals.
No, not silly, but we're not doing that today. Is when, I don't want to say old singers, but like singers from the past release new records, and now their vocal that I never heard vocal is now tuned. So like I bring up like Elton John, my favorite of all time, Paul McCartney, just anyone that like Mariah Carey is another one where it's like she's released a song last year that was like had vocal tuning on it. I was like, I hate this voice. Like, what is happening?
I remember when Aretha Franklin's final album came out and they had auto-tune all over it.
Oh no.
Yeah, really.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, what are we doing? And my thing on it is kind of similar to what I was saying with like the SD versus HD versus 4K, is that we've gotten used to those voices, whether you want to call it demoitis version of it, right? But we've gotten used to those kinds of voices untuned. And even though they're not perfect, we've accepted them because they're like, oh, this is what it sounds like. Bob Dylan, like that guy's never sang in tune in his life, but like we're like, cool, like he's doing a thing, and we accept it. And then the second they like start tuning it, I'm just like, whoa, this has changed the entire like timbre of everything of the vocal. I'm just curious if anyone wants to jump in, if you guys have like a hot take on that because I hate it so much.
Yeah,
and
I think
wish
it's like
they-
an inconsistent aesthetic is like how I would think
That's a
about
good way
it,
to put it,
because
yeah.
I do think that that just has me thinking about those the albums from the 60s being remastered, and what if we went through and also tuned those vocals? That
Oh,
would
yeah.
really change the intent of what was being delivered.
I'm
And
so happy no one's done that. They've like I don't mind the remasters. I'm like, oh, everything's a little bit clearer now, great. But like I can't imagine if they've like begun like
I mean, the internet does it.
yeah, no, yeah, well that's the internet.
yeah.
The internet's gonna do weird things.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think the integrity of the intent has been preserved in those instances, and
Yeah.
for someone's aesthetic to dramatically change over the course of their artist career, that's jarring.
Yeah.
I get that.
What do you
Yeah, I don't know
what
if
do
this
you,
is. Sorry,
go ahead, Scott.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but like, I could imagine maybe Mariah just always wanting to be like that, and it's just like she's finally found her thing. I can see that, but of course, a lot, like when you talk about Bob Dylan, it's like I don't even like Bob Dylan, but please no.
Well, I'm curious, like, what do we think it is, right? Do we think it's the engineers or the producers being like, I don't need this person to do like, 25 takes or whatever. I can just have them do it in 5, then I'll fix it.
One thing I'll say about that I find it really helpful as a vocal producer and engineer to be a singer myself.
Yeah.
Both in the studio, I can demonstrate timbral shifts or talk about like vocal mechanics and biology with the singers to access things, as well as get the emotional and psychological side. And I do think that it's possible that the engineers who are working with these artists now are not singers themselves, and in the recording process aren't really, their ear isn't tuned for it. And so, yeah, we're trying to kind of make up for it in post-production instead, which obviously is
But
going
you can only
to deliver a
I
lesser
yeah, I
product.
don't know if it's just like laziness or it's just like these singers get so big that they're like, well, they have 20 minutes to do this. And like, I just like, I'm just like so confused by it. And like, I'm also curious if like Elton John is like thrown back, like hearing his vocal tuned,
Yeah.
like, or he's
I
just like,
think
well,
it's
this
just
is
I
like-
wonder
what
if
it
he's
is.
even
I
heard
think
it.
they just get put into the machine,
Right.
and like for my own productions, I kind of know how I want to approach the tuning because I have a vision for the whole record. But a lot of times, like sometimes you're just kind of a piece in the machine, and someone's just like tune this, and so like if you're not involved in the project and there's not really any conversation about the vision, you don't really know how it's going to be mixed. You're just given a bunch of layers and you're like, some of these are leads and some of them are backgrounds, tune them. And like, I can do that, but also I don't think that's how you get a thing that you want. It's just you get a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think for these legendary artists too, the vocal producer in the room is probably less likely to push those artists to do things that are outside of their comfort zone,
Yes,
like they might with a new artist.
Yes, they're not good. They don't want to push. Like, who's gonna push Elton John to like try and like be like, you didn't get it yet. Yeah, yeah.
Call me.
Scott's raising his head. No, I think that's the thing too, right? It's like why, like, to
I mean,
call
you
out, but,
guys have
like,
probably found yourself in those positions too, right? Where it's not like Elton John, but it's like, oh, like this singer could walk all over me if they wanted to. Like,
I
you're
guess
a
so,
famous
but, like,
person, and like you just do your job, right?
There's a lot
It
of like ego associated, with singing, totally.
Yeah,
And
I think
the
it's-
engineer always errs on the side of not offending
Right.
the artist.
I think it's the difference between like, am I being an engineer today? Am I vocal producing? If I'm just being an engineer,
fair.
Yeah.
you know
Fair.
what I mean? And I'm just
Yeah.
like there to hit record. That's a very different thing. But if I'm vocal producing, I feel that it's in my best interest to try and make the best product so you can hire me again. Even though like I've not pissed off, but I've annoyed plenty of people in this very room, recording them, pushing them, and then I send it to them. They're like, I sound amazing. I want to do that again. And it's like, that's my goal as, when I'm vocal producing, a record that I've written and produced or a record that I haven't written and produced. I want to get that client back. And if that, again, I'm not afraid to push people because I know that, like, I know I'm going to make you sound good. Just got to trust me. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to hate me now, but tomorrow you're going to love me. And,
I'll do like little check-ins. Like, do you hate me right now?
right. And I want
I
to say,
find
like,
that to be helpful.
I
Like,
always say,
just to say,
Go
like,
ahead.
I'm aware that this might be harmful to your
Yes.
ego, but can we both acknowledge that we should put that aside without
Yeah.
saying it, basically?
yeah, I compare it to like going to the gym with the trainer. It's like, you're going to hate that trainer when they're making you do that last final, like they keep telling you one more and you're like, this fucking asshole, he's making me do one more crunch. But then you're like, oh, I got a dope 6-pack. Like, yeah, I guess so. Like, it was kind of worth it, you
Yeah.
know? It's a funny thing.
Well, and I think that's a good reason to both work with vocal producers who you trust to challenge you and get that out
Yeah.
of you, and also to work with new people regularly because your vocal changes as you live.
Yeah.
My voice is completely different than it was 10 years ago, and it needs a different kind of approach, different styles. And yeah, if you're working with the same producer for a long time, you can kind of get into a, I don't know, routine that no longer serves that voice too.
Oh,
But yeah.
yeah, because you can just get used to it, and you don't want to It's why I think it's good when people switch it up. And but you were mentioning it like because you're a singer, and I'm a singer, quote unquote. But when I was in my emo band back in the day when I was like kind of learning how to like yell sing or whatever, I took vocal lessons, and I took it to kind of like learn how to preserve my voice and just like be able to sing live better. But that turned out to be the best thing I've ever done for my vocal production career, where because I took like it was almost 2 years of vocal lessons, I have that knowledge. And when I'm with someone here, I can dig into that knowledge and be like, okay, try and like sing like this, bring it down. Like I can kind of do tricks to like teach singers how to get into like their mixed voice without even realizing that like they're in there.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone where it's like, if you can afford vocal lessons, like even if you're not a singer, especially if you're not a singer as a producer, like I actually think it's really great
Yeah.
to like take vocal lessons and like learn the turns to try and help the singers.
Exactly.
And then also like you being a better singer is definitely not going to like not help you. If anything, it's going to be good for you to be like, oh, now I can participate in the gang vocals, and like maybe get some neighboring rights somewhere,
I think like that kind of expansion of vocabulary is super important when you're working with vocalists because the same approach isn't going to work for everybody. And if you're telling one person like that's great, just make it a little more like purple, and that works for that artist. It might not work for the next person. So having as many tools in your tool belt to pull out to say like try a mixed tone, try something lighter,
I think I'm going to take an opposing position here.
What? Because you're not a singer, Scott.
Yeah, because I'm not a singer. And I've
What's
worked
that?
with a lot of writers who are singers / vocal producers.
Yeah.
And I've always found it to be an emotion killing experience every time. And I think my thing about it is like, I think studying voice, you're really studying physics to a large degree.
Yeah.
The problem I have is that by the time the artist is cutting, it's like too late for those things. That said, I do think there is a lot of value in the vocabulary, like you said. Like I think if I hadn't worked with hundreds of singers, it probably would be really helpful for me to like go gain that vocabulary way more quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
However, I would say like I really try to shy away from any kind of like physical advice during a session because like I said, I think by the time the artist is in there, it's like you can't teach them how to sing right now.
But I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. I've been able to get people to like hit notes that they didn't think they could hit. And just by like kind of like these like tricks that I've learned over the year.
No, I agree with
yeah.
tricks. I got tricks. Yeah, I got
No,
tricks.
it's just I always feel weird like telling someone how to sing, and I'm just like, they're like, but this is how I do. I'm like, just trust me and try it, and then they do it. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, and like you only have to hit once.
People love it, I think, because like Brie, like you said, like a lot of times I think they're getting like, can you make it more purple? So I think any kind of specific advice, whether it's physical or emotional or something in between, like. Having a shared vocabulary, some kind of communication with the artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just establishes trust. You have this foundation to work off of. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
they have to know that I understand singing. That's really important. Yeah.
And also, like, listener, just so you know, there are going to be some artists that are not going to like that. And that's fine. And it might be the first person you work with and they like react negatively to it. And that doesn't mean like, don't take that as like, I should never do that again. There are some artists who just like don't want notes and like that's fine. And like you figure that out really quickly. You can feel it. If I give someone a note and they are like pissed that I gave them a note, I will stop giving them notes. I'll back off and that's fine. And there are some people who like, I can tell they're frustrated, but they're like, they like the challenge. They want to be like, they're getting mad that they're not doing it and they're like, they want to and they like the challenge. Like that's okay. That's when you can push. It's just, session dynamics are tough. Arguably the toughest part of the job.
I assume most of the time you're in writing sessions with these people, so you're building rapport over the course of the day. I find that if I'm going in for like a vocal production gig, the first hour is the most important thing. Like,
Yeah.
let's hang out, let's get to know each other, let's build a little bit of rapport. The same thing you do in a writing session. You just don't have the opportunity to then write a song. But I really do like, and I think we talked about it on one of the other podcasts. Like, I want to talk about the song so much.
Yes.
Like, I want to know exactly how you feel about it. Like, even if you like hate this one line, like, I want to know that you hate that line. Like, we're gonna fucking make it so you like it.
Yeah, it's true. It's like I in all of my vocal production work, and it's a lot different when it's in my studio. I can be precious. I don't have to be precious with time versus like when like someone's paying to rent a studio and they're on there by the hour. I understand it's a little bit tough in that situation, but it's why I've invested in my own studio where it's like it's exactly like Scott said. I want to build up that rapport, and I don't care if it takes an hour and a half to get started recording the vocal. I want to sit here. I want to talk to you. I want you to learn that I genuinely care. I genuinely care about every song I'm recording, and I want to make every singer that I work with like be the best they can. I need them to believe me, and that happens in that like first hour and a half. Exactly what Scott's saying. What's the song about? I need to know the emotion because I want to know how to guide you so you can like get that emotion through. And like it really makes a big difference. It's so hard to just like sing is a very intimate thing and just be like, hey, how you doing? All right, go in the booth.
Yeah, not only that, but like by getting them talking about the song, they're like getting back in that headspace and like are already more prepared than they were an hour ago.
Yeah, totally. So when you're able to do that, 100%. Okay, so this is going to be our last topic before we head over to listener questions and stuff. But Scott was kind of jumping to this. I'm calling it when not to tune. When do you not tune a vocal, right? This is genre specific. This is singer specific. This is, I don't know, like someone just nailed a vocal and I feel like I don't need a Melodyne it. When, Scott, we'll start with you because you wanted to talk about this first. When do you decide not to tune a vocal and when you're going to go in a little bit extra hard on the comp maybe?
Yeah, I want to maybe just like reframe it a little bit. Like how would I approach tuning a vocal? Because like I am at some stage of this record, I am going to tune some amount of vocals, right? It's like how much and how hard. I think what I'm sort of coming to in 2025 is like there are so many ways that you can mix the vocals that are interesting and different, that aren't just like your single lead vocal like sounds really good and clear. Like there's so many cool things that are worth doing, but it does take some amount of vision up front to understand like, okay, I really want this to sound like a doubled vocal, for example. So I'm not going to go and like tune the double like super tight to the lead as much as I would if it was like a pop stack, for example. So I think, having some sense of how it's going to get mixed is really changing how I'm tuning things.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And so that might push me towards Melodyne, away from Melodyne to vocal line, or, nothing, or slap an auto tune on there and then, sort of do what I do with the lead. I think doubles is a great example of this, where it's like the tuning decisions I'm going to make really depend on the style I'm going for.
Yeah, and it's like even like not tuning doubles, right? Where you're like if you're trying to have it do like almost a gang vocal type thing, but it's not a gang vocal, it's like that's when you don't want to tune, right? Like
you can have stuff as much as like a step out, and it's going to sound good in a stack of like 8 or 16.
Right, it's just like doing a thing. It makes it feel vibey. Bree, when are you kind of choosing like, you know what, I'm not touching Melodyne or autotune today?
No hard and fast rules. I agree.
Right?
Every mix approach is totally different, and every vocal is a completely different instrument. Timbrally, something might just sound better untuned for one person in a way that it doesn't for someone else. But yeah, in general, doubles, gang vocals, when you have those kinds of things in mind, I'm generally pretty loose with those. I would say also choruses, I tend to be a lot more heavy-handed with. Just knowing that the hook is what's going to stand out to someone after they listen to the song. I usually go more heavy-handed there, but for pop music.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like narrative-driven music, it really just depends on the lyric, what's being delivered. For a more conversational verse or a more conversational type of song, I'll go a lot looser. It's hard to even talk about it in those generalized terms. It's really
yeah.
like,
We need to pull up a Melodyne session here. Like
I know,
just go.
right? It's like when do we do it? It's funny, Brad. I meant to bring it up to you because you vocal edited, vocal tune, vocal produced that Dear Evan Hansen. I think I did the one other song on there that you didn't do. I did FINNEAS's.
Yeah.
Which was funny. It was like, oh, we have a little connection there.
Yeah,
but I bring up FINNEAS for the reason, not just to name drop to get clicks for a clip, but it's also because it's like, clip. Right, use that as a clip. I've tuned a lot and I've done like some vocal editing and production for him.
Yeah.
But he wants his vocal to sound like not tuned. He's not ashamed. He talks about how he tunes his vocal, but that's the kind of music that he's making. He wants it to sound like really, really natural.
Mm-hmm.
And how I kind of approach his vocal is I'm not always putting the whole thing through Melodyne. For him, I actually use Wavestune a lot. Wavestune, I actually find to sound like super, super natural, even though I don't like to use it as much. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. But when you don't want a vocal to sound tuned, I don't know, it does the thing. It's a tip I got from, you guys know John Feldman. He does like a lot of like rock and emo stuff.
Yeah.
And when I worked with him for the first time years ago, I was like a fan of his, obviously, because I loved all those bands. And I was like, yo, like, how are you getting these like rock singers? Like, I know they're tuned, but like, I can't really like hear it. Like, I know it is. And he was like, oh, it's Wavestune. And then ever since then, I like used it and I was like, oh, like, I see what this is doing. So to my ear, it's like, I'll reach for Wavestune. I don't want something to like sound tuned. When I want people to be like, did you tune this? And I'll be like, technically yes, but no, because it's really good where it's like it'll capture it and I can only like bring up certain things. But where I'm going with that too is like I don't tune. It's really singer dependent. It's not even like genre dependent. Certain singers they like Melodyne or Auto-Tune or Wavestune or Repitch or whatever the hell you're using just doesn't get along with their voice. It kind of goes with like these legendary singers that we're talking about. Like something to my ear, I'm just like, now it's like losing its thing that it has that got me excited about the vocal. And there's nothing I hate more than like I'll work with a singer or I know a singer that like most of their vocals are like super lightly tuned or untuned, and then they work with a producer and then they release a song and I'm like, who did these vocals? Because I now hate this song. Because it's the same thing where it's like there's nothing wrong. They're not over-tuned. The vocals are perfectly good, but like I like your voice with no tune on it. It's just my rant. I just hate it so much.
I mean, personally, that's just the aesthetic I like for it to not sound tuned. Of course, there are exceptions to that where people, again, the vision where it's like that's part of the idea. But when I'm listening to someone's voice and listening to them as a singer and being like, what do I think about this person as a singer? Like, yeah, I want it to sound untuned. And that tends to be the stuff that I end up working on and get hired for and get a little bit of love for here and there.
Listen, you can, there's like not good money, but there's like some money to be made from, being a good vocal. Like I made a lot of my early money in this industry from like people working with me and like, oh, Justin did my vocal really well. Like my vocal sounds like shit on this other song. Like maybe I'll go to Justin to like have him vocal produce like the rest of the EP or the rest of the album or whatever. It's been good for my career. So I don't know. And like
it's been great for my career too, as you know. It's like that was a lot of how I sort of got into a lot of the work that I'm in now is just through being in that sort of getting slapped around by Melodyne for many days in a row for years at a time.
Right. And the exact opposite is that like I know producers who have missed out on gigs because like the singer thought they sounded like crap on their record, and now they can't see past that. It's like maybe that song was so good or that production is dope, but like you didn't take the time to make that singer sound good.
I'd say the vocal is like 90% of what the audience is listening for.
It's 99%. It's 99% of what the singer's listening to.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like I know very few, at least pop artists, who are not focusing intently on their vocal.
Right. Yeah. You were just mentioning film work too, which is a little bit different when it comes to tuning. At least the films that you mentioned, Tick Tick Boom, Dear Evan Hansen, a lot of those vocals were recorded on set. Some of them were also studio tracks, but because of that, we had to match to the lip dub, so we had no like timing flexibility for the most part, which did really change my approach to tuning too. In some cases we went harder, in some cases we went a lot lighter. Just knowing that the timing in the pocket was set, that's done, out of our control. So yeah, in instances like that too, it's just going to be totally case by case, like how hard you go with it.
And this is me just being a fan of your work right now because like I'm just such a fan of like musicals. I grew up in New York, so I got to go to a lot of them. But like Tick Tick Boom is like, again, like you can tell that the vocals are tuned, right? Because it's like it's and I don't mean that in a bad way, right? It's like I can always tell when 99% of vocals are tuned, but everything you've done, it's like, it's never distracting. It feels supernatural at the same time. Because I know, like, I knew that like that one was like recorded live or whatever you want to call that. And like, I know how challenging that is to like work with like, well, this is what we have.
Yeah.
You
There's
know?
a lot of good material there. The vocal production,
Yeah.
I wasn't on set for that, but the vocal
Yeah.
production on set was stellar.
Yeah. Are you able to like comp, or it's just like you have the one take and then you're just like, well, this is it.
Well, that and Dear Evan Hansen were both filmed before and after March 2020. And so there is a good amount of it that was recorded on set, and there was some of it that couldn't be recorded live on set.
Right.
And so we had a mixture of performances that we were working with. And sorry, I totally lost track of what your question was.
That's fine. When I invite you
Why
to
are
be
you so
a guest,
great? I think
let
was
you know.
the
No,
question.
I was. That's a tough gig. I know what it is. Like you don't have like, it's like I'm gonna have you sing this 30 takes. You're like on set. You're like, well, this is. You know?
We had some comping ability. Yeah, we had some
okay,
comping
that's good.
options.
Yeah.
But for the moments that they were on picture, we had to match to the dub.
Right, yeah, to like really go to the dub. Yeah, that's something I'd like. I'm just like, I want that challenge. I'm so curious because I've never really like done it. And I'm just like, what's that like? You know what I mean? Just for the fun of it. But yeah, no, I've already told you, like, I'm gonna have you on next season. I have so many more questions for you. I'm so like intrigued because I'm such a fan. Okay, so we're gonna go quickly onto our listener questions here before we wrap. We don't
Hang
have
on, I
that
remembered
many.
my tangent. This is good. This is good.
Perfect time.
Okay.
It's 2025. We have like a gazillion tools to tune vocals, and like yes, there are all of these things that like as seasoned, experienced professionals, we're like, yeah, I know this special skill that like sets me apart from the machines, and that's why I'm so great. How long does that last?
Oh,
and like my question is less
you're bringing
about
the AI.
yeah, my question is actually less about the technology and more about like sort of what I said earlier about the audience just getting accustomed to a certain sound. And so it's like once the audience just fully expects auto-tune on Bob Dylan, then like what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's quite the tangent. Go ahead, Brie.
No, yeah. I mean, a huge box of worms. But I think it really comes down to what we're seeing in live performance. My mind keeps coming back to that because we play the records over and over, but then when you go to see the live show, you want it to sort of match-ish. And I think if all of our vocals in live performance are hard tuned, the records are going to match that and reflect that and follow that. I think that the AI of it all, I don't have a lot to say about. But I think it matters more like what we're doing in live spaces with each other, because these recordings are just a reflection of that, intended to be a reflection of that. I do think that we're extremely quickly getting used to the sound and look of AI online. But I do think that people will still want a more raw sound if that's what they're getting live.
Yeah.
Can I throw a wild variable into the world here?
Yeah.
If you go listen to AI songs, I think they're less tuned than top 40.
They're less tuned, but they have that like quality where you're like, what
Totally.
it is.
But my point is like, it's crazy to me that the human thing is less human than the AI thing.
Well, here's the thing too. I think the ones that are less tuned are actually the ones that are trying to do like a throwback sound. And one, like, I just listened to some today because I read an article about AI where it was like pop songs, and it's like those actually sound super tuned because that's what, you know, AI is emulating things. It's not really making anything original. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like a thing where it's like everything ebbs and flows. I think as like things get more like perfect, there's going to be like a wave of like, well, we want more raw music and
right. Like if I was really going to give my best advice to people out there, don't tune your vocals. Like actually don't. Like actually just sing it until it's dope. And you're going to have to do it's going to be a nightmare a bunch of times, but then you're going to be really good.
Yeah, I think that's like, you know, I had a great session with, you guys know Karuk, amazing artist. They are one of my favorite artists. Karuk showed me a song that they wrote and recorded, and it was just one that they made on their like voice memo on their iPhone. And I listened to it and I was like, you should release that because that's really, it was like, the song was like, it was like meant to be on a voice memo.
I've had this thought so many times.
No, it's not all
the voice
songs.
memo is the thing. That is the thing.
If you heard this song, it was like kind of like the Moldy Peaches kind of vibe. If you guys know that band, the movie Juno for listeners who like don't know the Moldy Peaches. But it was like that, and like I was just like so drawn to it. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, what is that? So I don't know. Maybe because I'm more drawn to it, I'm hoping that listeners will be, that they're gonna like.
I think so. I believe so. I mean, I think as more of the super tuned or AI or whatever version of mechanical non-human music, it's like we're coming around the other side of it. I at least to the extent that if you want to be successful as a human artist, you probably should embrace the fact that you're human.
Yeah, I mean, like live performances, like people are going to want to go back.
For that?
little thing.
Well, that was your clip. I got it.
Yeah, that was a clip. Okay, I want to go on to a couple listener questions here. I got to go through them because we already answered a lot of them just in our conversation. This will be good because I feel like you two are really Melodyne experts here. I like this question. This is from Will Cast, who Will, I owe you a text back. I got to text you back, buddy. I'm so sorry. But Will asks, thoughts on different Melodyne tools when multiple could work, i.e. vibrato versus chop and adjust.
Chop and adjust. I just stay away from the both modulation tools until you need them.
Yep.
And try not to use the one that flattens stuff out at all.
Yeah.
100%. Same.
It was so funny. I was like, I had my intern here the other day, and I'm kind of like teaching him how to Melodyne, and I was like doing, the chopping thing for vibrato, and he was like, wait, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, no, that's what you do. Like, that's how you get it to sound.
You have a shortcut for it? Make a shortcut for it.
Oh, I should, I guess. I don't know. I'm pretty fast with just like, right clicking, and I go to it really quick, and I don't know. You get, you do it one way and you get used to it. And you're like,
you don't have to tell me, man.
That's the way.
I'd say
also,
the most important part of that is splitting the attack and the release separately.
Yeah.
If you really want, it's not the modulation tool, it's whatever the other one is that just rings drift. Yeah, if you want to use a little drift on vibrato on like the center piece of it, sometimes I'll do that.
Drift is chill.
Drift can be chill. Yeah.
I use drift quite a lot. I even will sometimes use drift on a whole vocal and just kind of the whole thing a little bit. But it has to be chopped properly first. If it's not chopped right, it does all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah. You know what I've been doing that I think is like a real, I don't know if I've made this but I haven't seen anyone else do it. So I'm just saying, but I will on Autotune, when I have it going through Autotune, I will automate the vibrato on Autotune to kind of like when I need to contain a certain thing. And I actually find it to be like supernatural a lot of the times.
Cool.
When it's like, when it's just kind of like a last resort, when like Melodyne isn't quite doing the thing, other tools aren't, I just kind of like will automate that. I'm like, oh, like that is now controlled and it doesn't sound weird and artifacty
That's cool.
for whatever reason. Yeah. Also just like Melodyne, automating Autotune in general, like the retune speed. If like listener, if you can't afford Melodyne yet and you have Autotune, like that's actually a really good way to kind of like control it. A lot of the times too, where it's like you can break it up by clip and bring it up a couple sensor up or down and then use Autotune there. It's a way to do it. I
don't do a ton of automating Autotune parameters, but what I do a lot is break stuff up into multiple tracks where I might even have like 2 or 3 tracks for the same verse, but it's like, these are the lines that are tuned this way, these are lines that are tuned this way, these are lines that are tuned this way.
It's just a different way to do it,
Yeah.
The same thing at the end
Same
of the
thing.
day.
Yeah, and I just automate the bypass a ton too.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Here's a question. We were kind of hitting on it, but maybe we can talk about ways like around it. Dean and Reeds, I don't know, from Instagram asks, does Melodyne always introduce artifacts specifically with sibilance?
Yes. Are they always audible or bad? No.
Brie,
yeah, never. I mean, I don't think it nulls out when you do nothing.
Yeah, nulling out is like if you flip the phase and like, if you hear something, it's now different than,
Right. Like I think as soon as you pull it into Melodyne, it is artifacted across the board.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Which again, going back to what I said earlier about like, that's part of the reason why I like to go back to an untuned thing. Cause like, well, man, this just like, if it was already pretty much in tune and I barely noticed the difference, or maybe it's even better, a little bit out of tune, but it sounds like a raw recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Melodyne 5 is interesting with sibilance because it is less artifacty than Melodyne 3 was if you're shifting it. But in Melodyne 3, I would always cut out the sibilance and never shift the sibilance. And that would avoid that problem altogether. Melodyne 5 encourages that you move everything together. So sibilance is the biggest the biggest artifact issue for me in general with Melodyne.
Can you explain encourages you?
Oh,
Like, is it better if you don't, if you,
just it doesn't like explode like it did in Melodyne 3, essentially.
right, yeah.
If you
I
moved
still have
Sibilance to Melodyne 3, it was really bad.
bad, yeah, very bad. You had to really carefully kind of go and chop everything out. And
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like it's
And
not
I would
super
always be
noticeable.
recomping S's back into the
Totally.
comp.
And the thing is, I still do that, but it is better with 5 than it was. So sometimes I'll let things go if it's overall in the mix not a problem. But
Yeah. I think too, Dean, thank you for the listener question. Like Mike, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. It's like why I kind of like have in my playlist like the raw vocal, auto tune only. It's like that's if Melodyne is making the sibilance sound weird, I will just grab the sibilance from the raw one and then it's gone. And that's again, it's super time consuming, but if you're trying to be the best of the best, like that's kind of what you're gonna do. That's just what the job is, for better or worse. Okay, let's look at these other listener questions. I had one on. So
I love listener questions. Why don't we do this more often?
I do it every week. What are you talking about?
You've never asked me a question on this show.
Oh, you know what? We answered this one. This was a question. We kind of answered it right before, Scott. Should we start letting our vocals be loose to combat AI?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
That was my buddy Jackson.
Or at the very least, be exactly like me and just do what I do.
What?
Tune it and then comp it back together.
Yeah, right after. Yeah. No, I think, people want that realness in things for, I don't know, human reasons, the pushback. I think like AI music, this could be a whole 20 episodes, but it's like, I feel like people like understand what it is and like we listen to it more for fun or for whatever. I don't think like anyone's like listening to AI. I truly don't believe that like no one's listening to like an AI song and being like, man, that's my favorite song.
Autotune is an AI, like, to be fair.
Yeah. Yes. No, I don't know.
I'm not going to try to define AI on this.
Yes.
Just to say, I get all the time when I'm talking to folks not in the music industry, like, oh, so you auto-tune vocals, which is minorly offensive every time, because I am.
They just don't have the vocabulary.
They just don't have the vocabulary, but I am,
Yeah.
very manually doing everything.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's also like probably why the three of us have jobs doing this, because we are going to the extents that auto-tune cannot.
Right.
And
that's the thing.
similarly, I think that's true with AI too. That human engineers will just be able to achieve new things that AI cannot possibly come up with because it's all generative.
It's not coming up with it, and it's like AI in any of the video forms, any of the picture forms, anything that does it, it's lacking that emotion.
Yeah.
And that's where,
I
our
just
job.
say, stay creative and expressive.
Yeah. And, on that note too, young producers who are just throwing auto-tune on a vocal, listen to this episode, learn from it, and please do not do that.
It's not wrong, though. It's not wrong.
It's not wrong, but I just don't think it's good for your career. I just don't.
It depends what your career is, man. Like, if you are an artist or a producer that is in genres where that's really appropriate, sometimes that is the best thing to do. And it's really fast.
It is really fast. Fast is always nice.
It's really fast. And if you're cutting through it, you know what it's going to sound like. The artist is already happy.
Fair.
And also,
Fair.
Don't tune your vocals.
I just don't like if they're doing it to be like, out of laziness. That's just like the old man in me. Like, just don't
Out
be
of
lazy.
laziness, and I agree with that. And out of maybe not routine is not the right word, but just like, this is the thing you do. Like, this is what you do. And I think just breaking out of whatever box you're in, whether it's vocal tuning or the way you play guitar or the way you write songs, it's like, don't do this is what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to think, what is the most creative way that I can do this?
Right. Singer dependent. Okay, we're going to end our podcast here with our last topic that we do on every podcast is the In the Bounce folder. This is where our guests here can kind of plug really whatever they want. So they're working on a new piece of gear they got, whatever they want. Bree, I'll start with you. You're our rookie here. So what's your In the Bounce folder today?
I'm actually going to plug an org I'm working with now, Women's Audio Mission. They're sick. All about adult education for women and gender expansive people in music technology and audio engineering spaces.
Why, there's not enough of you guys working in here?
There could always be more.
What is it, 90% male?
Yeah, I think like of
Higher?
the Billboard top 100,
Yeah.
I think 3% of the producers were women or gender expansive people.
And so that's
consistently
amazing,
for the past 10 years. So it's not, but that being said, there's a lot of women and gender expansive people working in the music industry, and it's a matter of amplifying and elevating people and educating people. So we just actually expanded to Los Angeles. We're now in Los Angeles. We have a space in downtown Los Angeles where we'll be hosting programming, workshops. We have an academy program, a training program, an internship program, a paid internship, etc. And I would like to encourage any women and gender expansive people out there to come check it out.
I love that. Where can our listeners find that? Instagram?
Instagram. Women's Audio Mission on Instagram or women'saudiomission.org.
Okay, perfect. Love that. Scott, what's in your bounce folder today?
Yeah, I was just looking in my bounce folder. There's a cool artist I'm working with. I think you know them, actually. Release the Epstein Files. Do you know them?
You dick. He told me before the podcast, he's like, how many times can I bring up the Epstein Files today?
Wow.
I was like,
yeah.
You went there.
I think I went nerdy last time, and I'm gonna stay on nerdy this time because I just got new converters, Antelope converters.
Oh, you got them. Okay, I remember we were texting about
Dude,
this.
it made me so sad to think about all of the things that I've done on my Apollo. Because listening to the AB of them, like, just piping stuff in and out, so different, so wildly different. The
that's how I feel about my
doing
Burl.
so much. If anybody wants to hear my loopback tests, I'll share them with you. But it's pretty wild when you hear what an Apollo is actually doing.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's what I was saying. It's like I hear the difference on the input from my Burl to just going through the Apollos, and it's like I try, as annoying as it is, to record through the Burl as much as I can. It's just it's worth it because every time I do, I'm like, yeah, that's better. It just sounds expensive now, and getting proper converters is my goal.
Well, I'll just say this, man. This interface was $1,400 used. It's 32 analog ins and outs, and it maybe sounds better than the Lynx.
What converter did you get?
Antelope Orions.
Yeah, that stuff matters. It's annoying how much it matters.
It isn't. Carla was over, my wife, today. I was like, you want to check out my new piece of gear? It's that thing with no knobs on it and a tiny little screen in the middle. It's not fun at all.
But it's the thing technically you're going to use the most because it's always being used.
It's always being used, and it makes everything else in the room sound better.
It's like piece of gear. It's like buying a nice pair of shoes. You got to have a nice pair of shoes.
Yeah, you can wear them with any outfit. Makes every outfit better.
God. Funny enough, I have nothing in the bounce folder. I'm so tired. I have nothing that I can think of.
Oh, what was the one thing you were telling me about? Fuck ice. I think it was fuck ice. I think that's what it was called.
Truly. We can end on that. All right. Guys, thank you so much for doing the pod. I think this one's going to be, because the most listened to Roundtable one was another vocal production one. So I'm assuming this one is going to also be another highly listened to one. So thank you to Scott, Bree, and Dennis, who unfortunately had to dip a little bit early, but I was so thankful he was here even for the time he was. And thank you to you, listener. Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Producer Points. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. For an encore, check out our Spotify playlist featuring all the songs we've discussed on the show, giving you the perfect soundtrack to your creative journey. Additional audio and video editing for this episode was done by Nathan Rebello. Until next time, this is Justin Gabella.